Captain's log, stardate supplemental.
Oh,
am I audible
I
again?
hear you.
Yeah, maybe. There we go. What was going on with that?
Don't know.
Oh, I know what's going on. Yeah, that's going to be a problem. They're going to be missing me from like 5 to 10 minutes of the stream. Sorry, everybody. I'm figuring this out as we go. Anyway, Conan,
So we should warn everybody listening to this on the podcast land that this is being streamed live. So much like our live experience at the Shakedown in the pre-COVID times, we are
kind of
we are
as we go.
Not only are we making it up as we go, but this may not sound as smooth as our normal silky smoothness.
That's assuming that there was ever anything smooth about ourselves.
Let's say anything smooth about it. No, but no. What I was saying is the fun about TikTok compared to some other social medias is watching these tiny videos get like you watch a video meme pop up and they like just kind of evolve, and then all of a sudden they split off and then they die out of nowhere. Much like sea shanties, which are back in fashion thanks to the joy of TikToks. Yeah. I don't know how I got here. But the social medias, man. So like Twitch, I feel like is a low bar for a podcast to be like, we stream live on Twitch. I mean, you know, it's a strange place. It's a fun place to play.
It's a world. It's a world. In a world. Okay, hold on. Now I'm going to see. Okay, and I'm probably coming through double. So now I'll turn that off. There we go. I should be audible again. Cool. I swept to another mic source. So it's all great. Anyway.
Oh wait, no. Now you are not on that. You are on your headset still.
Am I still on my headset?
Yeah, because when you moved away from your headset, it got weird.
Let's see, but the RTX voice should be coming through here, not here.
Okay. Well, did you switch Discord also to the other?
Well, oh, yeah. So you couldn't hear me on that. Am I still echoing? Just checking the audience.
Table here, flip this.
I should not have echoes anymore. You let me know.
Oh,
okay. I'm not.
He says no.
Cool. There's a time delay, right? You got to get used to that because, of course, it's going off and doing stuff. By the way, I really love these snap camera filters. My teeth are so white. In real life, they're a little more coffee stained.
My skin will also put some sparkle in my eyes. I mean, there's also a ring light.
So do we want to talk about the real big news of the week, Conrad? Is that we're in a band now? I really want to say how important it is that we're in a band. So everyone, this is a joke that's gone too far. For years, I've been talking about starting a band with zero motivation to learn an instrument. And that's not to dismiss music or instruments. It's my own laziness. But I wanted Conrad everything else that came with being in a band. You know, like merch, marketing, fans, gigs. So we went and did it. We're in Moose Wine, right? Which is we're like a garage folk, lo-fi chill pop. You know, we're not really
no.
genres,
I think garage folk lo-fi is a good starter to understanding the depth of a Moose Wine. I mean, it's so much more than that, but that's a starting place.
And everyone out there, I'm not even joking when I'm saying there's going to be Moose Wine stickers available very soon in the near future. So, yes, we are using our podcast about Star Trek. Wow, I'm really vibrating. To advertise our
a fictional band.
Yep. It's going to be fantastic.
Well, I guess it's not fictional. It is a band.
I want to point
maybe
out,
not a very
Conrad,
productive band.
It's a real band. Just because we haven't released music, and we may never release music or have a live gig, doesn't mean we're not a band. Although I intend to have gigs.
To be fair, the lack of releasing music or what was it? You had a list here. Releasing music, producing. Like, there are a lot of bands that fit exactly that description you just gave, I guess is what I say. And, you know, it's in their hearts.
Well, look, I mean, I'm a 43-year-old, and I felt it was time to have the garage band that everyone else talks about.
Well, okay, we already have a Star Trek podcast, right? Where else is there to go?
Check mark. Nowhere but up. You know, we got to just try it now, right?
So a garage band, but in hipster fashion, it's kind of like a deconstructed garage band. Because of COVID, we can't all meet in a garage. So therefore, the band has to exist in a more, a deconstructed, organic state of the internet.
Fantastically.
Did I say anything that made sense there? But and people are listening right now, the handful of folks that have drifted into the Twitch are like, I thought this was a Star Trek podcast. I'm like, on a good day.
On a good, we get there. We get there is really what it comes down
Well,
to.
I'm just saying though, what is the garage band that Will Riker was in? If we're going to talk about like,
Well, see, actually, no. I've been thinking a lot about Will Riker, Conrad, ever since we started Moose Wine, because as a musical artist, I was really beginning to identify with him as the musical artist on the Next Generation,
Mhm.
and you know, we see him with a house band occasionally on 10 Forward. I don't know if those are his regulars, or if that's like a band of the moment. But I mean, what does he call them? Does he call them Will and the Rikers? Does he call his band Imzadi?
Oh,
I mean,
well, no, Kyle. So Imzadi was his Starfleet Academy like garage band that played at frat parties and stuff like that.
yeah, that's pretty legit.
And it's just Imzadi, but they were like a little metal. No, the 10 Forward band, Kyle. That's
Yeah,
like that's Will Riker and the 10 Forward regulars.
Will Riker into 10 Forward regulars. Is that, that kind of sounds like, like, I feel like what happens is like Data does like a late night show, with really bad monologues, and that's the house band. Because you know how it is when you have a band like that. They're never a organization that's doing anything. You got to cover for me because I have to text real quick to people to come watch our show. So quick, fill in quickly.
Well, we're up to half a dozen.
Are
If
we?
we get if we get 7 more people, it's a baker's dozen.
Dang. Man, I could go for donuts right now. I'm just gonna say that right now.
Yeah, you can't
Uh,
really say it like a baker's. Oh, no, we're down to 5.
well, of course we are. Have you listened to us? We're not exactly rolling here. All right.
I don't know. Thinking about Will Riker's musical past, in this weird era of Star, like it could come up. They're getting wonky out there. We got Picard going. Lower Decks, we got to see the Titan, and we got to learn that a tiny smidgen of Riker's past with a character we never heard of before. I'm saying that there's room for this to happen. Like Lower Decks could do a Riker flashback to like a Alaska angsty teen who doesn't like his dad, who's in a band
Right, but see, that's not even that hard for them to do at the moment because I mean they're gonna be on.
on the Titan. I'm saying it's super easy.
Right.
So, the spy from the writer's room from Lower Decks, that's totally part of our fan base that's listening right now.
Do you think we
Uh,
actually have that? I mean, I don't.
no, I don't think so.
Yeah, I didn't
Also,
think so
it's
either.
fun to watch people drift in and out. They're not saying hi, but the number fluctuates a little bit as people, I think, stumble across this in the channel
Accidentally
feed.
find us.
And they're like, what is this? Click. Nope. Click.
So, sound editor of the show, Kevin, has dictate. Oh, by the way, he's in our band. He's our bassist. Is that how you say it? Bassist.
Brass nacelles.
The Brass Nacelles was his recommendation for Riker's band.
Nice.
I like that one actually. That's got some legs to it. So Conrad, let's see. We have a band. You have an adorable son.
I have an adorable son.
We're going to
He's so
we're going to
cute.
continue to feature him on the live show. I think just because he's worth taking a look at. I'll set it up so I can share screenshots more easily instead of having
Mhm.
to preload them. But
Yeah.
do we want to just go for it and jump into the meat of Stardate Supplementals episode number 66 or our first live broadcast?
If I was going to do a good metaphor, what we're looking to do is you got that crunchy shell taco, and we took that first bite, and it's all sour cream and like lettuce, maybe a little bit of cheese up on top. But we need that second bite, that bite of the meat filling.
So you're saying this was the crappy bite just now, and the
No, well, we
next
had the
one's
starter, the opening bite of the taco,
it's like the first
and
part of a burrito.
and now we're moving on to the taco second bite.
Okay, so we move into the taco second bite.
Let's bite this taco.
Let's bite this taco. I don't have bumps built into this live episode yet. We might put them into the audio if I recorded it
All
properly,
right.
or it may never appear. We'll find out. Ready? Okay.
Okay, I think if I fake it, it's like beetle beep, Commander, incoming vessel on sensors.
Nice. And then some ominous Romulan noises.
Commander, there's a vessel approaching on an intercept course.
Okay, but before we get any farther into the episode, I want to give some color commentary about how much I love this screenshot you snagged. First off, it's the bar, and it's 2020, and I think we can all relate to it. Second off, there is a officer clearly on a date here, but he's still wearing the uniform because that's kind of a move. He met up they're chatting with the bartender who's got like the green like overalls with the green plaid under it.
Right. Okay, real quick because I disappeared because it turns out when you add an audio input, it's per scene, and I hadn't added it to this scene, so
Oh
my
my gosh.
apologies. Everyone, I just want to re-say we are going to be talking about the Soliton Wave Rider today. It is a vessel that is seen in Star Trek Next Generation, Season 5, Episode 10, New Ground, and this is the opening screen from there when they show the title card, and Conrad was just giving color commentary, which I hope is all audible.
Terrible color commentary. No, what I love about this shot though is I'm like, I miss Bart. Can we go? Can we go here? But in the background you see
Do
Worf
you mean
entering
a
with his
place
mom.
you can go that isn't home? Yeah, that would be wonderful. I also want to really point out that this highlights for me how weird it is that we have bartenders serving on the Enterprise, like non officers of all sorts, including bartenders, who will live and die in random battles, while
Whisked off to
serving
the board.
cocktails. Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
it's not impossible that one of this man's peers were taken by the Borg, and the collective added like some bartending knowledge to.
Talking like we're talking about like Borg bartending.
Yeah, just like except for it's like, and his hand can now like rotate all the way around and,
What is
and
that
like vibrate,
phrase?
shake.
Your distinctness will be added to our own, and so now the Borg know how to make a good whiskey sour. That's
It's like they go to the database. Ooh, whiskey sours. Like I don't know, just I'm saying that the Borg accidentally get some really interesting stuff.
they have to pick up a lot of really oddball knowledge. Then I mean, for every like new weapon technology they get or whatever, there's like 12 different Magic the Gathering deck formats that they now know a lot about.
Somewhere there's like an ex-Borg, and like somebody is like, "What do you mean you can mix me some drinks?" It's like I used to be a Borg, and they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "Let me tell you, we absorbed a few good bartenders. I know some good drinks." Because ex-Borg seem to know all sorts of random stuff from their Borg days.
Okay. Before we spend more time on the bartender, and I want to point out that officer is holding a flask. They keep giving them weird things to drink out of. I'm telling you, Conrad, you would end up with like a pottery vase randomly as a beverage container if you ordered a cocktail in that place. But
So hold that thought for a second.
I'm going to hold that thought with a very disapproving Commander Worf.
See, look at this.
That's
This
a
is my
beaker.
newest.
That's a
Well,
beaker.
so what this is technically, it's like those little French press coffee things, but it was designed for like making cold coffee. But we have a better thing now. So I pulled the plunger out and tossed it, and essentially it's a beaker with like a handle. And I'm like, hey, this is like a Star Trek 10 forward. I'm gonna keep it. And
Conrad, I'm not going to complain. I can't. Every glass I own in this house is a jar. Just so we're clear. I intentionally bought mason jars. I did that, but you went one bridge too far. So kind of Worf sums up everything about the episode. Okay, because this episode is what? That's not the right way to go. I've got my things backwards. Is an Alexander episode. Okay, so disapproving Worf. We're here to talk about the ship, but in brief, we're going to summarize this. Normally, I would put an accordion on in the background. We don't have that set up yet for the stream, but you can't keep that up. They won't be able to hear me over it. But that was actually surprisingly good. I'm worried that you know how to do that. Like, where did that come into play? So the short version is the Enterprise is going to be helping watch a new form of warp technology test. They're going to be monitoring the Soliton Wave Rider, which doesn't use a warp core in order to travel faster than light. It's not clear if it generates a warp field or if it just rides some sort of like distortion of space, but a wave is generated from a planet. It rides it to the destination where the wave is canceled out. Things go horribly wrong. It's blown up. The technology needs some work, etc. Right? Meanwhile, 80% of the episode is Worf has a son who he foisted off on his parents when when the son's mother died, and the son is being dropped off at Worf's because Alexander is a horrible child, and no one likes him, and and I don't know why they made this character stick around for so many episodes, but this is the first episode we're going to see him in, and that's Worf's mother, who apparently is a Russian, and that's how they dress in the 24th century, is is hyper old fashioned, and that's Alexander wearing the worst boots ever. So Worf learns how to be a father. Alexander learns how to be a horrible son, and the space stuff's going on. So we're not going to spend too much time on that. Other than to mention again that this is why we have sad Worf. I don't know.
Disapproving Worf.
I'm not sure if he's proud or disappointed in this one because it's the same face.
Okay,
right?
it's disapproud.
Disproud?
Not
proud of pointing?
Proud of pointing's a little different. This is clearly the Klingon emotion of disapproud, where you are both disappointed and yet you have a little furious honor hope in your heart.
A little furious honor hope. I love that.
Furious honor hope.
Also, Connor, although this is a Worf episode involving Alexander, it's all bad. There is one bright point. Geordi is way too excited about this new technology, and he gets to carry around his red pad.
Oh, we get the red pad.
It was originally used by a guest star, and then LeVar Burton saw it and said, I really want that. And it became like his signature. So he'll just be excitedly punching it. And I hate to say this, but in the high-def remaster, it's very obvious how plastic that thing is. Like, this is like the Firefox phone that was made in like Europe a few years back. It was like very obviously plastic in a very bad way. This is that level of plastic.
Just to set the Wayback Machine to way back, though, if memory serves, you actually had a Firefox phone.
Yeah. Oh, I did for testing purposes, mostly because I was curious about it. It was horrible. Horrible.
Kevin, disapproud equals nice try, walk it off.
Yeah, that's a good point. I like that one. Very great statements. It's funny thinking about what the time lag is between us saying it and them saying it. But yeah. So anyway, this is so Geordi is very hyper in the opening sequence. He's telling everyone how exciting the technology is, and no one will listen to him. So he's
not just hyper. Geordi is that kind of enthusiastic, geeky, excited, and that even Data's like, I don't know, man. Like I like, and Geordi's like, no, you don't get it. And then he's like looking over at Worf, and there's no help there. Like Worf, you and like Worf's like Klingon. Yeah, he's like, nope.
You know it's bad if you're being such a nerd that Data can't hook in on this. I'm just saying. So that's a whole thing. And finally, I really wanted to briefly point out this horrifying outfit belongs to Alexander's teacher for all of one episode. You know how it is with school teachers on the Enterprise. They mysteriously die in between episodes because there's always a different one teaching a kid in the exact same year. But this is
they retire a lot.
This is Miss Kyle.
Miss Kyle.
Yeah, there's a few Kyles that appear throughout the Star Trek canon. There is a Mr. Kyle who is like the backup transporter chief on the original Enterprise, and I say backup because obviously Scotty's doing that 9 times out of 10. Then there's Miss Kyle. She is here. She's a very annoying teacher, but she has a very annoying people. Look at how clocked out Alexander is. He doesn't care. He's not saying anything. And then there's also Kyle Riker, which is Will Riker's deadbeat dad. So I got to be honest.
Yeah, I forgot his name was Kyle.
Yeah, so there's a few of me. I just like to kind of check in whenever I hear my name being said on Star Trek. So yeah, I just had to share that.
I think they're like zero.
Also,
comments,
all three of these actors clearly wish there were pockets. If you look at where their hands are at, they're like, why don't we have pockets?
I'm going to have to say, of the okay, well, Worf's wearing the uniform, and he's got the Klingon sash. He's pulling it off. The uniform's not bad. But I do have to say that for children on Star Trek, in this shot that you've got here, I'm impressed that Alexander's not wearing like a one-piece jumper, or an oversized sweater. Like he's actually got like a green. It's either like a sweater jacket.
It's a horrible jacket. Look at those pockets. Look at those lousy, oversized, loose.
I'm just saying, pockets. At least he's got something going.
I'm gonna give Miss Kyle credit for having that cool vest. Although the tailcoat on the end sort of makes it look like she's like a budget magician. So I'm not sure about that part. But at least it's not a onesie. I will give you that.
I do have to kind of wonder. I don't know. Alexander's so tiny, and I feel like he hasn't grown at all since the last time we saw him. Are Klingon children just mysteriously small?
Well, no, because the previous actor had to have been a little shorter because he was only like technically 3 back then. They used a different actor between the 2 segments. But you're right. He is actually a very small man. But I think he's technically supposed to be like, honestly, if you do the math in your head, he's like 4. And you're like, what's up with Klingon kids? Because this guy's already getting in the full-blown
Okay, if he's supposed to be 4, you make a point. You know, he is like a terrifyingly large 4-year-old.
But Star Trek doesn't keep track with kids. They're like, when did we last see this kid? Hire a teenager. And that's how you end up with Deep Space Nine, Worf. Alexander, you're like, isn't he 9? How is he serving in the army?
Well, I think what surprises me is that Alexander shows up at Deep Space Nine and he's like 9. Meanwhile, you tell me that apparently for Keiko and O'Brien, like they use the same actress for their daughter the whole time. And I keep forgetting how old she's supposed to be. I'm like, shouldn't she be 26 by now? And it's like, what do you mean? And I'm like,
No,
I don't know. Don't they?
it's an actual child going an actual pace. No, she's only in her 20s now, I think. So
Yeah, yeah.
So there we go. So all that, Connor. Let's start talking about the Soliton Wave Rider. So this is Dr. Jadar. I think he's also a minister, and he is from many of the secondary races of Star Trek's group of really unfortunate faces. Like they're like, okay, let's make a humanoid because we're low budget, but let's just screw around with face makeup until something sticks. And that's what they got. Jadar is the guy who I guess is like the head of the Soliton Wave project. And since this is an unmanned test vessel, he's the only one that we're ever going to see on camera because we don't ever see anyone inside the ship. Um, yeah, yeah. I don't know what to say about. I need you here, man.
The unfortunate. So, like, there are times that you see them experimenting, and they're like, "So, what if this species looked like I don't know, like a necromancer raised the cadaver of a Cardassian and like shaved off his spoon, and then his face is partially rotted around the edges."
That is a small audience statement, by the way. You shaved off his Cardassian spoon in order to get this necromancer face.
You know, the little ridge thing on their head.
I do have to be honest.
It does look like if blood poured out of his face, like, and he started like gnawing on the nearest person. I mean, you look at his mouth and it looks like he's ready to eat human flesh. I'm just like, and he doesn't look that alive. I mean, the aliens come and go sometimes, but this one was a little bit stunning.
Yeah. So he's a nice guy actually throughout the whole thing. He does the whole bit on like, it's an exciting technology. We don't expect it to immediately go well, which is very smart. Talks about the whole thing, which is psychotic if you listen to the plan. And then when it blows up, the first thing he's concerned about is the people on the Enterprise. But the thing is, so this technology is about this. Okay, you're going to see in a sec the Soliton wave. Okay, the Soliton wave is this beam that they shoot at the destination at warp speed, right? And the Wave Rider rides it. Now, the trouble is the amount of energy that this wave has means that if it's not canceled out at the destination by another beam shot in the same direction, it destroys the target planet. You actually brought this up last week as a real life problem if in theory we're able to make a warp drive.
Yeah, the science behind the Albuquerque warp drive theory, where they're like, hey, by physics, we think you could do one if you had, negative matter and exotic energy, whatever. But then they do this episode with this. But I'm just thinking, like, okay, you know how warp drive is like a little inefficient, kind of expensive, and sometimes ships blow up? Yeah. New idea. How about if we build crazy doom emitters that could shoot off at warp speeds, carry your ship along, but there is a small chance that if you mistime the dispersal wave, that either will strand them in deep space too far away from anybody to be rescued, or a whole planet will explode.
But think of all the money you'll save, and that's what really matters, right?
Also, there's a flaw in this, Kyle, because if this technology exists, and if people know how to make these Soliton waves, why hasn't the Romulan Star Empire or the Cardassians been like, so we're just going to target Earth and fire off, we're just going to fire off 16 of these randomly at planets. A few of them will get through. You don't have to have a Soliton emitter to protect yourself.
This is exactly like when the Enterprise inverted an atmosphere, which boiled it temporarily. It's like if it could do that casually for science, why can't? Yeah, I'm saying one bird of prey on a bad day could ruin so many lives. Same deal here. So it's an amusing technology if you think about the ramifications. But of course, for the sake of the TV show, it's just like, oh no, it's everything's going to be fine until it isn't, as it turns out. And
it's fine. It's fine. It's probably fine.
It's probably fine. And the whole deal, of course, is this. This is the vehicle we're here to talk about. This is the Soliton Wave Rider. So what's actually interesting about this technology, Conrad, is if you think about Discovery's third season, they're in the 32nd century, and dilithium is incredibly rare due to an incident. So warp drive is actually really difficult. This actually would have been pretty smart as a solution because it's push people in direction, and hopefully by then they'll have learned how to better dissipate it. But here's our test article vehicle. It's got, I assume they're creating a warp bubble off the energy because it's gotten the cells, right? You know? And other than that, it's clear that they just got like a tube of toothpaste and they pasted like spare World War II model bits on the outside. But, it's
Well, it's interesting because it's got what looks like warp nacelles, or what I think that the designers called when they were pitching it. They're like, okay, so what is this thing? Warp nacelles? No, no, no. Those are Soliton Pobtoons.
Pobtoons? Is
You know,
Pobtoon the word?
like.
Is that what it is? That is the word.
I'm
Like
gonna
you have in
have
a
to-
catamaran? Are those Pobtoons? I feel like
a
I'm thinking
Pobtoon.
Nope. Yep. Maybe.
Pobtoon. Well, like Pobtoon boats. I'm trying to think of what they like.
Is it an actual word? Did you type Pobtoon and did it say yes?
Noun, a South African novelist. That's not the word I'm thinking. Then.
Yeah. You're thinking whatever the side floaty bits are. Pontoon.
Flying planes.
Thank you, Kevin, on the show. Pontoon is
Pontoon.
yeah. So
Or maybe I was talking about a South African novelist, as Google suggested. A pontoon, but Soliton pontoons.
Yeah, because saying Soliton pontoon on script is going to work out really well. Clearly,
But no, you're also right in that Pobtoon. Pobtoon. I love it, Chameleon. No, when you think about it, though, I have some concerns about this technology, aside from the planet-destroying aspects. But also, I think you're right. I think Discovery's missed an opportunity. But then again, sometimes I'm not sure how good their lore is. They get some facts, and then other facts that come like, eh.
Conrad, they get like 2/3 of it. I mean, there's a lot of good in the show, but they get like 2/3 of a gist about like a plot point, and they'll throw everything away to make that happen. They don't care. They're shooting from the hip. And you got to break canon to make canon. I totally get it. So we probably shouldn't rag on that. So I like the idea of the tech here, even though it is kind of interesting, because I remember thinking back when this was first going on, and I was 17 or whatever. I'm like, wait, if there's no more warp drives, then why would Geordi be excited to put him out of a job? Which obviously isn't the right approach, right? There's going to be all sorts of engineering challenges to keep your ship alive during this whole like surfing space kind of situation. But yeah, it's funny that they never really follow it up. Well, I mean, it's a throwaway episode, so I suppose that's the case. Although it is funny what they do follow up, because Star Trek's one of those things where they'll like be like a throwaway technology that a writer never meant to do anything with, and some other writer gets it like a really bee in his bonnet and just like runs with it for like 4 episodes of Voyager or something. And then there's stuff like this, which that's just going to land aside, like Transwarp. Transwarp they really ran with when it was literally just a MacGuffin for a slightly faster starship in the surface.
Voyager liked Transwarp a lot.
Like a lot.
Like a lot. Yeah. No. But also it turns out that if you miscalibrate your Soliton Wave Rider, the ship explodes, and then you might destroy.
But honestly,
the planet.
if you think about the fact that it went what, like 5 light? No, it went not 5 light years, but it went a significant distance, all things considered, riding on it. Like getting faster than light on your first go, not bad. Sorry, I just laughed. Kevin said they get through 2/3 of a plot point of disco, but then they ask, "What if there's a knife fight?" And then we're going to end it with a speech. Yeah, it's.
I also want to say to random person 5759, yo.
Do you know 5759?
I don't know, but they said hi, Cobra, so I felt like a yo was worthy.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I'm gonna do a nod. So,
all right, everybody, like, subscribe, smash buttons. I don't even actually
tell your friends, buy our non-existent merch.
That would be very hard for us to do.
Use our discount code at MeUndies. I don't know how this works. I pretend we know how this.
We've
been doing this for what, 2 years now?
I have a discount code, Conrad. That's a lie.
Hey, MeUndies. I'm just saying, there's some opportunity here. There's literally dozens of people that. Hundreds.
We literally got 6 people watching, and you went mad with power. I just want to point out how quick that escalated.
No, not the the podcast has slightly more listeners.
It has significantly more listeners. It's just when people are listening to you live, suddenly you're on a throne made of a handful of subscriptions. Yeah, so I don't know what else there is to add about this ship that we haven't said, other than it's like a squat gray tube and a terrifying weapon. If they because honestly, even without the ship, you could just shoot these Soliton beams at random planets. That doesn't seem like something that would be legal for a planet to be permitted to keep.
I'm actually just surprised that testing got this far, and that like people know about the technology enough that they're like, okay, we're like, what happened during the test that the prototyping before this?
Well, I mean, this is apparently the first time they had like a test article to shoot the beam with,
Well,
but it does imply that the beam had to have been shot at least once without it and
well, well,
canceled
well
out,
what I'm
right?
meaning is before you got to the point of having your Pobtoon that you're going to throw out there, Pobtoon, your
Pobtoon.
your Soliton Pobtoon. You had to, you had to fine tune the Soliton technology itself, right? Like, so that's the thing. Like, somebody's like, "Hey, so we're going to build a ship to ride this wave. Well, can we make the wave?" And then you test the wave, and they're like, "Yeah, now let's test the ship technology." So, like, did they accidentally blow up a few planets, or is there possibly some Soliton waves just drifting out in
Still
deep space?
going.
They're
The
like,
implication is like in 1,000 years, you're gonna really ruin someone's day because it gets
because
stronger the farther it goes, right?
eventually it's gonna hit something. Eventually, space is big, but there's a lot of it.
What was
And
it? One of the Mass Effect games had that very bit about like shooting like railgun rounds. You don't like shoot from the hip because an object in motion stays in motion, making Isaac Newton the most dangerous motherfucker in the galaxy. Sorry, Mom, if you're listening. I'll try to beep that out in the pre-recorded one. But yeah, it's like so. No, I'm with you there. Yep,
just
Pobtoon is our first live meme. I'm sorry, Chameleon. It's just gonna be how it is. Yeah. So
whew,
I'm gonna say right now, Connor, this is a horrible device. As in, like, it's a great idea. It's a weapon. And this is just I'm throwing up here the explosion that occurs shortly after. And this isn't even the planet it's firing at. Although honestly, the funny part is if you look at this, it kind of looks exactly like the Death Star exploding, which is sort of the same vibe
it
here.
does. Or Alderaan. Yeah, no, it looks a lot like before the
Just
special edition.
cheated and used the same explosion.
Totally. They're just like, can we recycle that? We'll throw some warp effects around it. It'll be fine. Nobody will
Just
notice.
just some warp effects, whatever. It'll be good. So yeah, I'm kind of with Worf on this one though. I'm a little skeptical about this Soliton bit, just because it's like a weapon. I mean, they're pretending it's a transport technology, but it's like saying we're gonna, deliver, taxi cabs to Russia by nuclear weapon. It's like yes, you could probably project a taxi cab there, but if Moscow has to like shoot it out of the sky in order for the taxi cab to not destroy it,
Kyle, so now I'm picturing scientists developing essentially a nuclear cannon where like it's essentially like a titanium reinforced super alloy, just giant, like, I don't know, 800-foot long tube with like the firing chamber. They just drop like a little tiny nuke in there, which one fascinates me at the implications. And also, I'm not a physicist. Is it possible to effectively create a nuclear cannon in which the projectile will be efficiently enough launched off at terrifying speeds and distance, but not destroyed by the nuclear explosion? Like, what's the return on investment fine-tunedness of this nuclear cannon?
it's kind of terrifying when you're
Because now I'm
transporting.
wondering about the mechanics of it.
Well, I mean, I guess honestly, this isn't entirely different in a way from like, eventually having rockets to go to Mars via Elon Musk or whatever, because the notion is there are some transportation technologies that are inherently weapons, right? And it's just like, are we really trusting a cowboy in Texas to make the decision to send you some, fried chips safely via, a ballistic device? It's just kind of a
Yeah,
very
yeah,
is it
yeah.
nuclear or nuclear? I'm not. I'm always kind of a
I
nuclear
believe
guy.
they are both technically official spell now.
Yeah,
Words change in the way they're said.
but I say sherbet. And honestly, for the first 35 years, I didn't even know there was a different way you said it.
Wait, is it not sherbet?
Well, it's not spelled sherbet. It's like sherbet. I don't even know how you say it. But then again,
And then there's sorbet, and that's a different thing, right?
yeah, but no one even knows how to say February. What's the extra R? Is it February? What? I
Kyle,
mean,
we could talk about Wednesday. And
yeah, Wednesday's spelt wrong. I mean, that's
no,
just
it's not just spelled wrong. We all conveniently pretend that it said Wednesday as opposed to like its roots is Woden's Day. We say Wednesday, and there's like a like it's spelled Wednesday or something like that, and it's just
it's a problem. Connor, do we want to stop trying to figure out how to spell Wednesday and or Wednesday, and move on to our next segment. It's going to be our first attempt to do it live. So this is going to be like a big
Ooh.
alley oop. We ready?
Let's do it.
Okay, I need you to ask the question because my audio isn't set up for the next slide yet. Okay, so when you see it, there'll be a hilarious time delay because you're actually having to watch via the feed. You'll be able to ask the question. All right, ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Go.
Sir, we're being hailed on a secured channel by Captain DeSoto. On screen.
Sorry to sneak up on you like that, Jean-Luc.
Robert!
We send you Galaxy-class boys out here to the far reaches.
Not today.
No, not today. Starfleet's got new orders.
What would DeSoto do? Ooh, I like this. You've actually got our cast up. This is nice.
There we
This
go.
helps a
And then I
lot.
had to add myself into the audio here. So yeah. So what would DeSoto do? Hey, for everybody that's here for the first time, and for all you kids playing along at home that are fans of the show, what would DeSoto do is where we ask the question: what would happen if the USS Enterprise was not involved in the episode in question? And so instead of the flagship of Starship, yes, flagship of Starfleet, a much less important starship was handling it. Oh, your video's all around here. I gotta squeeze this back out, right? What's up with that? That's on me. That's on me. I'm obviously been.
I'm way off to
editing.
one side.
Yeah, you're all.
Or the other
you're
side.
All wonky. I'll get it.
Oh, this is messing with my head if I look at it because it's not mirrored for
Yeah,
me
it's
on that.
not mirroring. Anyway, all that said, the important thing to note, see, it's not mirroring for me either, is the. There we go. We got you. What if instead of a capable top of the line starship, we're handling this problem with all the other ships in the fleet? Because as we've learned, a lot of them are really bad. In particular, the USS Hood, NCC 42296, because this is an Excelsior class starship. Kind of these things existed all the way back in like Star Trek 3, I think it was, right? And someone's gonna have to help me out there. And it's like a 50 to 75-year-old ship. This ship, and the model in general is like 75 years old. And yet, for some reason, it's still flying along in service, mostly as what we call an admiral bus or the ambassador bus, hauling dignitaries between very unimportant planets in the Federation on random assignments. But every now and then, it's going to, yeah, don't worry, I'm going to turn on the mirroring here because this is messing with me. Oh God, no.
So confirmed, its first appearance of the Excelsior class is Star Trek 3: The Search for Spock.
Yeah, see, that did the wrong thing, so I'm just gonna leave that. Yeah, exactly. And so, don't worry, it'll turn back in a second.
His photo needs work. Okay. Sorry. Kevin just called out my photo needs work because Lieutenant Kevin Kirtland, the chief science officer, is inspired by Kevin. But I love how it's the back of a science officer walking away.
Right. Well, it is on purpose, actually.
So clever. Sorry, it just makes me laugh now that I saw that, combined with his comment. All right,
yeah,
you were saying.
Yeah, I don't know if I was saying anything important there. So when we do these segments, yellow shirt, right? Well, technically you're a science officer, so you should be a blue shirt. Is how we've done it. So these are less capable ships, presumably with not fracker jack top of the end officers. So how is it these people survive these assignments? That's what we often wonder. So we're going to talk about the Hood, which in our timeline is still being captained by Captain Robert DeSoto, or as we call him, Bobby D, who does appear in the episode 10 Man early on. And actually, Riker and Geordi served on the Hood briefly before their time on the Enterprise. And we have, over time, populated the Hood with characters from either background screenshots or that have appeared briefly as guest stars in other episodes. And that's who these are. And then there's Viggo Mortensen, time-displaced actor turned first officer. And that's because there's a character named Viggo that you never see on screen. And there's only one person I can think of ever named Viggo. So it was obvious what had happened there. So if everyone's wondering, is that Viggo Mortensen? Why is he there? It's because...
That's why we call this the Viggo timeline. It's because of Commander Viggo Mortensen. Also, I think if you wanted... did we bring him over in the episode... oh gosh, that's the Wayback Machine.
The Dom Job Boys?
The Dom Job Boys. Did he start there?
Yeah, go to our episode, The Dom Job Boys.
I remember that being a lot of fun. That was where we talk about Picard's ship, the Stargazer. And we theorize about what a young Jean-Luc Picard and a young, Wesley's dad names. Jack Crusher. Jean-Luc and Jack.
Jack
JJ.
Crusher is an action hero name. I'm just going to say it right now.
Jack Crusher. He crushes it, if you know what I mean.
So Conrad, the USS Enterprise was not able to observe the Soliton Wave test because Data slipped on a banana coming out of a turbo lift and fell down the entire shaft. And so Geordi needed to take him to Starbase 79 to get enough spare pieces to put them back together. So as a result of that, they had to call in another ship in the area to watch, and the short straw went to the USS Hood. I don't think this is an assignment Bobby's excited about. Now, we've already established that Bobby likes fishing, he likes whiskey, and he wants someday to be the president of the United Federation of Planets. So he's actually looking for a lot of political missions whenever possible. This is just a boring, space field test. Nothing exciting about that for him. So, he's like, okay, well, I guess if I have to, we're going to go do it. But definitely not his first pick. But nonetheless, they're going to go.
They're going to go. He's going to do it. It's going to happen.
Orders are orders. But Conrad, here's the thing. So Worf has his dad moment, right? That's the center point of the episode. We don't have a Worf, okay? And I was thinking one of these crew members, obviously to parallel the plot, has to have an unexpected dad moment. And I was thinking about who that could be. We could go for some obvious choices based on some of our backstory prior. But you know who I think makes the most sense to explore this alternative with? Dr. Boric. Or Vulcan.
Wait, Dr. Bork.
Dr. Bork.
We talked about Dr. Bork as a dad. I'm trying to think about this.
Well,
so
he's
Dr.
a
Bork, Vulcan, man about to head forward. Just look at his picture. He's got the drinks. They're probably tea.
Almost certainly tea.
Almost certainly tea. But he's also being a Vulcan. He's going to be old enough, and due to Pon Farr and all, it's likely he has children.
Right, and so an unexpected child drop-off situation, because Dr. Boric is similar to Worf in that he's very bad with emotions and probably very bad with kids. This is a doctor, on a starship far away from home. It seems that every time we have a Vulcan crew member in any Star Trek series, their family all live on Vulcan and don't understand why Pops doesn't come and visit more often than once every 7 years. Like, estranged family is sort of like the Vulcan watchword. So I feel like it's a good fit in this particular
well, as is pointed out by Kevin in the chat, you never know when a Vulcan has children, and it's true. They just don't talk about that stuff.
Ever.
They just feel like it's unimportant to discuss. They'll talk about their views on philosophy or their favorite harpsichord. But children,
they'll get really braggy about their special chess, which, by the way, isn't chess. People are like, this is kind of like Vulcan chess. It's a bunch of sticks. It's their version of, because you know what I mean.
Solitaire?
It's their version
Jenga?
of Operation. Think about it. It's the little maze of little sticks, and you have to carefully pick them without them falling apart. It's definitely Operation. It's not.
All right.
Yeah, and it's definitely not chess because it's a one-player game. So I'm just going to call it like I see it. So what's going to happen is Bork's minding his own business, doing, like a medical journal article about the effects of personally distilled bourbon on commanding officers, because we've kind of implied he sort of has like Bones did, a bit of a moonshine operation going on, which is admittedly an unusual flex for a Vulcan, but there you have it. And is involved in that. So, and then he gets a call. Hey, Dr. B. And he's like, please don't call me Dr. B. We need you to come up to
B-Man.
Yeah, we got to come to the transporter. And so he goes to the transporter, and then, you have, I don't know, his Vulcan granddad, who's like 238 or whatever, really old, wearing a bathrobe. Because they're always wearing bathrobes when they're old. With a little Vulcan kid who's probably being played by a 10-year-old actor, but it's technically 4,
Okay. All right.
That's how that always works.
A 4-year-old, 10-year-old.
Mm-hmm. Now, the amusing part, of course,
10-year-old, 4-year-old.
Is there any tension in the rest of the episode? Like the Worf situation, angry kid, right? But
So, I mean, here's the thing. The irony about this episode in the Next Generation is, for better or worse, Worf and Alexander is the A plot.
Yeah.
So, like,
very much the A plot.
It's weird when a domestic story, which basically, look, space bachelor warrior guy,
right,
has, his, dead baby mama's kid dropped off by his parents, his adopted parents, who he dropped the kid on because, like, hey, look, it's going to cramp his style. He's got his space condo.
He's a really bad dad.
He's got his knives. He's got his dishonor that he's got to work out because of his Klingon heart, because, of all the badness with the Empire, blah, blah, blah. And, so along rolls in, his mom, and they, like, decide, let's make that the A plot. Bork's a different situation, because I guess the first question is, A, does this mean that Bork's wife is dead? Or did Bork's wife get tired of the kid?
Is this how Vulcans do divorce? They just send the whole kid to the other parent.
Is this, and then that grandparent brings the child and is like, because we know that Vulcans do have, like, a divorce, I believe.
Right. So
although usually it involves, like, a battle to the death with heavy blunt knives.
So this kid is Bork's Dear John letter. Yeah. That's brutal. That's going to scar the child for life. Well, I mean, if he wasn't a Vulcan. I guess he's a Vulcan. He'll scar him for like 12 minutes. Unless it's Discovery, then he'll scar him for life. Because in Discovery, they make sure that Vulcan trauma is permanent and buried underneath sarcasm.
Is that thumping coming through?
No? Okay, maybe a moment if I listen really hard.
I got to send off a ping. Hold on.
I can see my mouse on your screen, though, which is pretty hilarious now that I just noticed it. Whee, I'll move that. It's weird how this video thing works. All right. Good TV. So, with that said, Conrad, meanwhile, down in engineering, B.G. Robinson, yes, that's Terry Hatcher. She had a part on The Next Generation. We thought it was so hilarious, we kept her around as the chief engineer of this. She went uncredited because she hated how they reduced her role in the episode, and if you watched it, you would understand.
It's understandable. Like maybe there was a much more awesome plot, because you're like, why would you bring in Terry Hatcher to have her play, essentially, hot transporter chief number one?
She was a skirt. That's what they played her as. Yeah. And she didn't want to be that. So she's like, don't give me credit.
I think that's a weird flex. I mean, you think you'd still want the credit, but that's a boss move to be like, nah, I don't need this credit. She went on to do
Lois and Clark and
right.
the
I'm not saying it didn't
show.
Work.
So, it worked out for her. All that said.
The Housewife show.
I forget what it's called. She's in one for 7 years.
I love our side combos. So, okay. So, sleeps with pirate. They're still married. We know it's not for love. Okay, the role. Oh, Kevin said that the role should have just billed as sleeps with pirate. It's a true statement. Okay, so for the character. Okay, so what is Bork's son's name?
Well, Romulans. Vulcans only have 12 names, as near as we can tell, based on the way they mess around. Obviously, it would be like Auric with something in front of it. Toric, Noric, Soric, Choric.
Soric's good. Soric is very Vulcan. So Soric,
son of Boric.
Okay,
or just Soric of Vulcan. A Vulcan is a really braggy thing to do, by the way, after names. But they do that so often when you're talking to a Vulcan. It's like, are you guys all just because it's like saying, hi, I'm Kyle of Earth.
Sorry, what are the suggestions in the chat? Turok.
Dinosaur Hunter. Yeah, did you know that Vulcans still have to do that?
Actually, that's not too far from the truth if you watch the animated series.
It's really bad, but the Spock goes back in time and helps his childhood self, and they expanded on that. So.
Helps his childhood self rescue his teddy bear monster from dinosaurs.
Only for it to later die in this same episode.
Yeah. Well, it's a Vulcan moral story, like the Vulcans, the Vulcan fairy tales are very grim.
Never have fun. It'll kill your pet. Okay. So, the point is, Soric. Okay. We'll have to remember that. I hope you wrote that down. Anyway, meanwhile, BG's down in the engineering department, getting everything set up so they can, which is weird. It's like, what are you setting up? You're just going to be recording what's happening, right? Are you just deleting all of Bobby's fishing videos so that way there's enough
to
room?
make up space on that? Look, they haven't updated the hard drive on the hood in 5 years probably. And it is a ship that hosts ambassadors. Like, you know how much random files and junk that are just stored around there? And it's like going through it, it's like, what's this? It's another 16 hours of holo videos of Bobby fishing. What? He records them. Do you know how much buffer space that uses? It's like, okay, these are some treaties from 16 years ago that some ambassador gonna purge that. Okay, so she's purging this. Do you think she has remotely the same glee that Geordi does for the Soliton Wave?
I think we've proven throughout the run of TNG how much of a nerd, even by engineering standards, Geordi is. I mean, Geordi is literally doing math puzzles with the ship on his way to a rising
He was like
hangout.
drinking a Mai Tai at the same time.
Yeah, correct.
But that was his idea of a good time. He like, all right, let's make this flight good. I got my drink. Computer, do you know any games? I can do this. Yeah, let's do some like engineering math quizzes.
Yeah, I mean, so no, I don't think Robinson is in any way, shape, or form nearly as excited.
Computer canceled. Sorry.
Great. Now we have to pay Amazon for this podcast episode. Or do they have to pay us? I'm not sure how that works anymore.
All right, sorry, you were saying before the internet interrupted.
Oh, I just said Robinson's in no way, shape, or form excited about this.
So
Right.
she's actually just more irritated that she's got to purge, 16 gigaquads of data in order for them to run this Soliton wave test. And you know that because the Excelsior class ship has a... You're right, I play Factorio for fun. Shh, I'm a data analyst. What do I know?
Yeah, we're major nerds. Just so we're clear, I said the statement APIs are really fun for Sirius in an excited fashion in a stand-up call earlier this week. So, yeah.
I had a
Anyway.
call on Friday with a handful of other analysts
Oh,
from the
no,
line
here
of
we go.
business I work in. No, it was so exciting because we were talking about... Never mind. The point was, it was exciting because I was talking to other analysts, and we were all giddy to be talking on a call to other analysts. There were no managers. There was no stuff. It was analysts from different areas of the business talking, and it was very nerdy.
Big time to be excited about Excel, right? Okay, so
It was part of the conversation.
in the meanwhile, Robinson's actually just irritated because she's like, should I delete this? It probably has Kurland there giving a second opinion. She almost deletes Bobby's fishing video and like holodeck program, and Kurland's like, that's not worth it. And then she kind of suspiciously skips like all of Longo's recorded training sessions in his Precinct Square thing. Longo is her husband. We've decided that's second officer of the ship. He wears a scant, as in that actor wears a scant in season 1 of TNG, which is why I keep him. Scant is when they were like, what about a mini skirt uniform for both genders? So kind of progressive, but still a mini skirt uniform. So I don't know why they called it a scant. There was no pants involved in that. It was straight up Uhura
It's more of a
style.
skilt.
Yes. Yeah.
Skilt.
It's probably better than a Kurt. So we'll go with skilt. Yeah.
Kurt. Skilt versus Kurt. Two pants. Wait, no. All right, moving on. I said that wrong.
So we go to the hilarious scene where Boric and Vorik are sitting in the dining room because the Hood is an ambassadorial ship. It has a state dining room like we've seen in Star Trek, The Undiscovered Country, instead of an awesome 10 forward. And of course, they're having an argument, by which I mean Borg tells Vorik, Sorik, that, hey, I need you to eat your pluot soup. I would rather not, Father. And then that's like the whole argument, real Vulcan style, real problem there. And then we get back to the excitement of the lich-faced undead monster doctor fellow, Jadar, walking them through the whole Soliton wave exercise. They then go and follow the ship, Okay, it's got its wave. It's surfing. Honestly, the fact that they didn't call it like the Wave Surfer or like the Soliton Surfer would have been such a better name. I'm just saying.
Soliton Surfer.
Right? It's a missed opportunity.
Yeah, definitely a missed opportunity. Surfer's still totally a thing. Pacific has a big surfing scene. Like, there are times that the Transporters Conference thought they had it booked at Pacifica, but then it's like the international, the interplanetary surfing association's like annual tournament comes by, they get bumped.
When you said interplanetary for a moment, I thought you were going to say House of Pancakes, and it just kind of made me think a moment of what Vulcan pancakes are like. I don't want to dive into that; that's too much, too far. But it was just in my brain.
Mostly wheat and seaweed.
Mostly. Do they even have enough sea for seaweed?
That's the worst part. Okay, it's hydroponically grown. It's a long.
So the Soliton Wave ship does its little thing, right?
Mhm.
They're riding along. They're recording. They're super excited to be there recording. I mean, they get so jazzed up on science in Starfleet. Bobby's bored. Bobby is in his captain's ready room, probably like with a bit of whiskey, leaving this to Vigo and gang to handle.
Mhm.
And then the ship blows up. So everything's shaking. Oh no. But then they immediately recover. So it's kind of a weird flex. And they call up the Lich.
It's a little turbulent, that's all.
They call up the Lich on the radio. Hey, your ship blew up. Okay, that sucks.
And he
You
was
don't
like,
sound-
excellent. I mean, oops. See,
Yeah.
here's Kyle, what you don't know. Weird flex. This whole test was that planet that was the receiving planet.
He just hates them. He's been waiting to
hates-
kill them this whole time.
This is his supervillain moment. He's been waiting for it. Like, it blew up on purpose.
So what you're
Oh,
saying?
no.
So you're saying that Jadar doesn't just look like the vampire lord of Ravenloft. Ravenloft. He also is in fact intending to perform mass murder just as well. So that corner that actually fits because as far as we can tell, he's a Federation scientist, and as we've learned through 5 seasons of Star Trek: The Next Generation, virtually every scientist that appears on screen is evil if they're a Federation scientist.
100%.
IPOP. Yep, IPOP would be the international.
Would you pronounce it
House of
IPOP
Pancakes.
or IFOP?
IFOP probably works. Yeah, I think IFOP's good.
All right, so they've got to stop it. They've got to come up with a plan to get this thing down. Now, here's the thing. Jordy pointed out a couple plans. Oh, we could write a match phase variants, blah, blah, blah. Or we could just launch a bunch of torpedoes after pulling in front of it. But it's risky because we got to be in front of it, right?
I love that that's a wild plan. We're just going to shoot photon torpedoes and detonate them in front of this wave. Just stop it with explosions. Everything's going to be fine.
Yeah, explosions. I'm like, well, that's simpler than usual. Here's the thing, though. Lieutenant B.G. Robinson, chief engineer, she's not going to go for the easy out, the explosions. For one thing, you can't. The hood probably doesn't carry that many torpedoes in
Yeah, it's not the flagship. It's an ambassador bus. They've got like 2 torpedoes.
We've seen what happens when a torpedo explodes. One torpedo explodes too close to the ship that shot it. 5 of them for the hood. It's like, hey, look, the flagship might be able to pull off a maneuver like that, but no, not the Excelsior class. But you know what the Excelsior does have that the Enterprise doesn't have?
No.
And that is a slightly non-functional experimental trans-warp drive system.
Right, which we have implied maybe they hook up every now and then to juice the engines a bit, right?
Yeah.
Get that warp point 99999 action going, right?
Exactly.
I mean, we're not going to go full Tom Paris and turn into a lizard and bone your captain, right? We're just pushing a little farther than normal is all. No,
well,
is it too soon for a threshold joke? I mean, I know we're not going to cover Voyager for like 10 years at the rate we're doing these episodes, but
the implications of Threshold as an episode and like the stuff that happened where the writers are like, okay, so what if Tom Paris goes warp 10 and everybody's like, is that even possible? I don't know. They found a space rock or something. You're like, okay, are we going to explain that? Nope. We're just going to start the episode with a get ready to do test. Okay, what's going to happen? He's going to be like everywhere at once. Okay. And then he's going to come back. Okay. And then he's going to devolve into a lizard. And you're like, wait, what? And they're like, that's what I got.
That's what I got, man. Look, I was out in the desert for 5 days. I had a lot of mushrooms. I'm kind of snackish. I don't have time for this. Let's do it.
And then the thing is, they're like, you know what? Let's massage the script a little bit. Let's see where we could take it. And they went weird ways. The point was somebody pitched that, and it got shot. That's just
fellow Star Trek podcast. What do they call it? The Voyager.
The Greatest
Boys?
Generation?
No. The one that's ran by the actors that played Tom and Harry.
Oh, the Delta Flyers.
They actually reference Threshold in passing a lot because it's such a weird episode that, of course, the actor that played Tom Paris was a very central too. I think they even brought Kate Mulgrew on to discuss it, or they plan to, because it's a lot.
I mean, it's hilarious to listen to that podcast because Garrett Wang is an awful lot like Harry in personality and delivery.
Very enthusiastic. Yeah.
But Robbie Duncan McNeil is not anything like Tom.
Nothing.
He's like, you could just see him like leaning back, like smoking a cigar, just being like, yeah, man. So like we were like shooting the scene, like I had sideburns and just no. It's just his delivery is so different. Sorry.
We're gonna go way
off topic.
The point was they don't want to go full space people lizard, right? Oh yeah, the Goo Clone episode. Chameleon Kill just pointed out Voyager had a lot of wild episodes where they're just like, hey, what if we really ruin everything just once?
I think even the ship was a Goo clone. Okay, so that's
yeah, there's a lot to put together there. It's like, wait, you made your ship out of the same goo? I'm confused. Anyway, Conrad, so they have the transwarp coil still in the ship. It doesn't work quite right. It's not Borg tech, but so what do they do with it? What's the plan? How are they going to try to save the day?
So what they've got to do is kick the regular warp drives up, right? And then get the saucer section up into where they're kind of like they got to ride the wave, right? They got to get onto that thing.
So when you say kick it up, do you mean like they got to pop a wheelie with the
It's
hood?
a two-part. So first off, they've got to pick up speed. But then they've got to change the warp field geometry to get the, just like Longo's going to what? They're going to be Longo. We need to ride this wave. And he's like, wait, we can't. No, if you alter the space-time frequency. And he's like, right, we can kick it up. And then the saucer at an angle because we got to disrupt this. And then kind of just plow into it and start riding onto the wave. And
now, Ensign Lin, flight control officer, is going to love that because we've established he's a show-off. Also, the actor that behind him was Leonardo in the Ninja Turtles movie. So anything that involves surfing or skating, he's going to
be in.
Yeah, he's in. So
anyway, when they do that, then what they've got to do is overcharge the reactor and then dump the excess energy into the transwarp drive. Right,
and it's going to
it's going to try to spool up a transwarp tunnel, like for just a moment,
and they're just going to suck the Soliton wave into the warp tunnel.
Well, it's going to either suck into it or here's what she's like, and it's either going to suck it into the warp tunnel or explode the Soliton wave by disrupting its field geometry. Now,
if it sucks it up into a tunnel, you'd just be shooting it even faster, farther across the universe to ruin someone's day, right? So that's kind of like, but remember when they were telling Picard, they're like, hey, this plan could just kill us all. He's like, I like it. Let's do it. I feel like Bobby had to be sold on this one by comparison. Hey, Bobby, this could destroy an entire civilization.
Could we get some probabilities? Could you massage the numbers for me here? What are we talking about? It's like, look. So what's going to happen is the transwarp system is going to absorb the Soliton energy, and a tunnel's going to start to go. But our own subspace field geometry is running at the same time. He's like, yeah. And then at that point, Ensign Lin looks over at Robinson. He's like, yeah. So we're going to see a counteract frequency, and a static bubble might pop. Right. So they counteract each other. And then Bobby's like,
so this is a moment where the writers are very excited and the director is very bored, right?
Oh, yeah.
Trying to shoot the camera angle as they're gobbledygooking. Absolutely.
The director does a shot that's behind and above Bobby looking down onto the table, and you see Bobby pick up his drink and go like that, and then you see him reach down into his boot for his flask, and then he's like, I'm feeling really good about this plan, guys. I just want you to know that. Pours a little bit in. Take knocks back a sip.
That's fantastic.
It's fantastic. It's great. But the thing is, they don't have another plan, and there's a whole planet at stake.
So they've got to do it. So meanwhile, Connor, we cut back to Boric and Sorik really having it out in Boric's quarters, because Sorik would like to listen to some Earth classical music instead of some proper Vulcan meditative music. And would also prefer some yoga instead of the traditional Vulcan calisthenics program.
Look, that Beethoven...
He's a rebel, man. He's a rebel.
He's a rebel. It's too wild. I don't need you getting into that passionate Earth music. Can't have it.
Although actually Bach was pretty wild. Apparently he wrote a lot of songs about farts. So I'm not even making that one up. That's like a real thing.
I'm not like that shocked by that. It's weird that I'm not that shocked by it. Here's the thing, though. Bork offers him a counterpoint. He's like, look, if you want to listen to Earth music, let's start you off with something like a didgeridoo. It's just long, repeated just like that. Vulcans are going to be into that. That's going to be like, look, man,
Circular breathing, man. It's all. Yeah, Vulcan's
yeah.
probably great at didgeridoos. I always kind of felt jealous about didgeridoos because it makes this great noise, but you're like, how do you breathe? I can't even breathe normally with my asthmatic normal lungs. I don't know about the whole make the didgeridoo go for like 10 minutes straight. Meanwhile, Robinson's finally finished bringing the transwarp coil back up to kind of shape with Curlin's help, and they're ready for it, Conrad. Do you think Bobby's on the bridge finally for this one? Do you think he's like, okay, if I have to, this is dangerous now. I guess I got to be here.
Bobby's on the bridge. He's in the seat, but it's not. It's possible he's adjusting himself a lot, kind of just wiggling around like that, because it's probably been sadded more by Vigo, to be honest, than Bobby in the last year or two.
So it's got the wrong butt shape, is what you're saying?
Butt shape's not quite right. It's one of those. Bobby's always in his ready room or the holodeck or the mess. Well, not the mess hall. What do they have? I forgot
the formal dining room.
The formal dining room. Those are the places where you can find Bobby.
Because
Bobby's
that's where diplomacy happens.
Yeah, he's one of those captains that runs the ship from somewhere else. That's just his style. But this one, he's like, well, it sounds like we might go down on this one. Maybe I should be in the seat.
So they get all together. They're like, all right, let's fire up the sequence. Lynn pops it into overdrive. Robinson changes to the warp geometry, and it skates across the field. And then they fire off the transwarp coils. Now, Conrad, warp tunnel nightmare or disrupts it?
I think they managed to disrupt it. Warp tunnel nightmare is just. Although it would be funny about the warp tunnel nightmares, that would be one of those episodes that ends with a dark down note where they're like, "But where will it go?" Dun 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 dun.
Yeah, something like that, right? Yeah. So.
But
no.
But honestly, the way this episode's going with the whole family vibe and the kind of mood they're looking for, instead everything charges up for a second. You see warp drive, the transwarp computers that haven't ran in years flicker to life for a brief moment, and then all of a sudden 16 arrays fry out. Ensign Lynn gets thrown halfway across the bridge when the bridge panel explodes.
Yeah, what's with those bridge panels? But yeah, absolutely, they're just built up bombs. So he goes flying. He's going to be in sick bay for the next 5 hours. But when it's all done shaking and the screen kicks back on, it worked.
It worked.
It worked.
It did it.
So like
the ship's on fire, drifting, powers down.
Because it's not the Enterprise again, right? It can't really take that hit.
It's like there's smoke. Sirens, like we cut to engineering and like there's the red lights flashing, the powers dim, and there's like explosive fires everywhere. Curlid and Robinson have got fire extinguishers, they're putting it out, but they stop for a brief high five before they get going because technically it worked.
Hey, technically it worked. That's all that counts, right?
That's all that counts.
There you go. And then when this happened, maybe I don't know. What's the part?
So the resolution with Bork and Sorik is where we cut back. The power's out. There's no music. They're trapped in the quarters.
Right. So
they're sitting there,
stuck with each other.
And it's like, what? Well,
argument.
Perhaps we should take advantage of this. He lights a meditation candle. He sets it down on the table between them, and the son's like, that is very logical, Father. And they begin to meditate. And then we get one of those kind of like sickly sweet family, like, oh, kind of resolution.
Camera goes up and out as it sort of plays a little bit of sad saxophone.
Mm-hmm.
Credits. Conrad, I don't have the bump. You're supposed to go dun 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 dun. Fine, I did it for you.
Good night, Kevin.
Jumping already, man.
Well, his child is awoken.
It's all right. Well, that
and
was
as a father myself, I can I understand that.
I'm going to be honest, Conrad. So when I rank this episode, by which I mean New Ground, I'm going to give it about like a 4 out of 10. I often like weird, quirky Star Trek episodes, but the Alexander kid is such a painful character. The
Well,
quality of the actor. No offense to him, he was young,
he's
but
very wooden.
yeah, and the way they're trying to work around it, it's like I don't know how they cast him in that position. So, honestly, our take was much better. If for no other reason, we didn't have to deal with Alexander. But
Well, we also kind of turned the A plot into the B plot, the B plot into the A plot. The thing is that New Ground is interesting because we see some elements we don't normally see, and they try to do the whole like, oh, Picard being understanding of an officer having to deal with the arrival of a new child, and Counselor Troy trying to give like parenting advice, even though she doesn't have any children, and I don't. Her counseling skills are a little suspect if she, but she uses telepathy to get away with a lot of stuff. But like, mostly just like does that therapist thing of like, well, what do you think, Worf?
yeah, it was actually kind of a weird bit with that whole thing. So,
but like the episode had so much potential, but like you said, the actor for the child kind of really made it wooded, and it was mostly like, hey, you know what would be great? Let's just put Worf in embarrassing, weird, awkward scenario after scenario and try to make it look like he's trying to be a dad, but he doesn't know what he's doing. And something about honor. I don't know. Like that's the script. That's the episode.
So how do we want to rate for us? The audience can tell us later what they think. The experience of trying this out for a live video.
I had fun. It was good.
We still got to tighten. We got to still.
Experience.
We have to tighten the
DeSoto,
the DeSoto bit up, of course, and I have to fix some of the audio feed problems. But I had a lot of fun with this. So thanks for everyone that was following along with that. We're gonna try to keep doing this every Saturday night, time slots allowing, or every other. We're still working out the exact time frame there. We'll let you know. We'll announce on the feed. It'll be a little slow. And Conrad, hopefully, I'll be able to put this up somewhere afterwards. Maybe it'll be on YouTube or some other format. We'll find out.
Well, I'm hoping it's going on YouTube or something.
Complete with broken audio. We'll see what's going on.
I have we had to test out some. It's a live stream, So what I would love to see is if we could get it also live streamed on the YouTubes.
Yes, actually, you can live stream on multiple things at once, but I didn't have the wherewithal to set that all up the first time through. But let me tell you what we're doing next time we get together for this, Conrad. This is going to be a much more interesting episode. We're going to be talking about the SS Vico, which should be the USS Vico because it's a Federation starship. But for some reason, like both in the script and whatnot, they just kind of like, whatever. It is an Oberth class ship, Conrad, in Star Trek Next Generation Season 5, Episode 11, Hero Worship. The ship itself is actually really cool because the model is absolutely totally destroyed with like glowing elements underneath from the damage causing like massive heat and whatnot. When you see it, it's probably some of the best shots we've ever seen of like an also-ran starship. And this is the one where the boy who's the sole survivor pretends to be an android because he finds it comforting the way Mr. Data's behaving. So it's a back-to-back kid episode, which is a real weird flex, frankly, but it's a much better actor and a much better plot. Instead of like Worf is bad dad. I mean, honestly, you could have had an Arnold Schwarzenegger kindergarten cop movie, and Worf could fill in for him, and it'd be about the same.
That would have been way better.
Well,
it would have been a way better episode.
If it was just
it was just the plot of Kindergarten Cop squeezed into like 45 minutes of TNG. I'm saying that would be an awesome episode. I'd watch that.
And Camille Kill, you're absolutely right. This being video, it's an instant video on demand, no extra work required. I'm not going to lie. The lower effort is appreciated. The pod, for example, when we do it, there's often 3 hours or more of editing for it, and that's just for our average of 90 minutes. We're running a little long, Conrad, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up so that way, among other things, my wife can walk in the background without feeling like she's on TV. And so with that said, everybody, you've been listening to Stardate Supplemental, Star Trek
Nights. You went too fast. You didn't give me the room.
You do it every time.
I do.
Stardate Supplemental Nights, Star Trek podcast about the ships.
Everybody, you've been listening to Stardate Supplemental Nights, a Star Trek podcast about the ships not named Enterprise.
Oh, we are your hosts.
Are your hosts, the Brothers Weems. I'm Conrad Weems.
And I'm Kyle Weems. And everyone that joined us for the first time, and anyone who found us, if you're listening later on whatever video or audio service we put this on, we want to let you know that we have a website at www.stardatesupplemental.com. That is www.stardatesupplemental.com. And there's a copy of every episode we have there, or links to it, as well as to our wiki, which is horribly out of date. We also want to let you know that we're on all the major services, Spotify, Apple, etc., etc. Furthermore, our website has an RSS feed that you can use if you're a podcast listener. You can put it in any podcast app that is your go-to and it'll be able to put it there. So where all fine podcasts can be found. We love interacting with folks, so every one of you that came and listened, thank you so much, and especially those of you that joined us in the chat, Kevin and Chameleon. That was really great. In particular, though, we also want to let you know we're on Twitter. You can see the hashtag, the Twitter handle is StardateSup. That's Stardate SUP for the show. And of course, we also have our own Conrad is Cobra Weems, and I am CS Squirrel. That's CSSQUIRREL. And we love hearing from people about that they enjoyed the show. We just like knowing that people think that's cool, because honestly, everyone does like hearing that their things are cool. But just as importantly, feedback's great. Conversations are great. We love talking about Star Trek with other nerds, because we had so many things we could do with our lives, and this is what we're doing with our spare time. I mean, you're a father, for Pete's sake, and you're doing this. Of a very cute baby boy,
He's very cute. But
so
also,
adorable.
It's not like he can play ball yet. And even if he could, Dad's got to have hobbies. This is how you don't go crazy. Because there are times that you're like, cool. And then you're like, so what are you going to do? I'm going to lock myself in a closet and record a podcast for an hour and a half so I don't lose my mind.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So those of you that joined us just now, mandatory dad moment. Absolutely, Conan. You should make sure to bring him in the future. Because he's an adorable baby. Where was I? Oh, real quick. Yeah. So there's a very good chance that we'll be broadcasting this again on Twitch and hopefully YouTube Live at 9 p.m. Next week. We'll be doing that episode we discussed. If you're going to follow along, you might want to watch the episode ahead of time, so that way you can share with all the in-jokes. And we'll be hopefully trying to keep the time slot a little more narrow.
9 p.m.
Pacific.
You're
right. It's the internet. I forgot. And I work with a company that has everyone in every time zone, so I should probably remember that. Well, every American time zone. Every American coastal time zone. There, nailed it.
If you're like, I wonder what that is in different time. We're bad at this. I don't even know the name of all of our time zones. What is it? Mountain,
Central, and Eastern. And then Pacific, obviously. And that's not counting Alaska or Hawaii.
So that's 9 p.m. UTC -8, if memory serves correctly.
There we go. So with all of that said, everybody, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And have a great week.
Bye.
And then fade to black.